Harilivelela, Chabasa Somalia, Ujamucho, Narachula, Harilivelela, Chabasa Somalia, Ujamucho, Narachula, Mutumalima,
Across Somalia, only 39% of the population have access to sanitation. Diarrhea, a key water and sanitation-related illness, is closely associated with malnutrition and is the cause of nearly 1 in 5 deaths. That's 19% of children under 5. Since 2009, Somali actors involved in sanitation are starting to use a new approach that seeks at changing behaviour of the people in regard with open defecation, the community-led total sanitation approach, commonly called CLTS.
CLTS is an outcome-focused approach, and whatever you do, you can construct latrine, you can conduct training, you can do lots of meetings and workshops, but unless you see the health outcome, these are all meaningless.
Triggering CLTS in a community involves several steps: pre-triggering, triggering, post-triggering, and scale-up. This is not the only way of doing it, but some basic elements should be respected, like letting people realise for themselves through their own analysis, facilitate triggering self-mobilisation, take a neutral stand, and allow heated discussion for and against open defecation between them. Appreciate those who take a lead and engage themselves. Always encourage women and the poorer sections of the community to participate. Let people innovate simple latrines and listen attentively to everything. During the pre-triggering period, the CLTS team visits the villages of a selected region to carry out a baseline survey and to collect information about the number of households, the practice of open defecation, situation of sanitation and water infrastructures, etc. The result of the surveys are used by the team to select the villages that could benefit from the approach. These villages have to meet very specific criteria, such as clear practice of open defecation, small settlements with homogeneous cultures, no subsidies for sanitation in the past, high incidence of diarrheal diseases and child mortality, commitment of the village's authorities. The selected villagers will be informed of the different steps of the process and given the date for the triggering session. Before the triggering session, it is necessary to train the CLTS promoters about the approach, its importance and its different phases. The triggering session starts with an exercise that involves mapping the village using local materials to indicate the main landmarks, roads, schools, mosques, and also water and sanitation infrastructures, water points, latrines, etc. The CLTS promoter asks questions about the sanitation and situation of the village and the defecation sites, and will ask people to indicate these sites with a material similar to shit. It is important that the facilitator does not pronounce the word shit. The local population is to be encouraged to pronounce the word by themselves, for example by asking them what will happen with the food they eat. Once the map has been made, the promoter will invite the participants to calculate the quantity of feces produced by the community. He'll facilitate the calculation by asking questions such as, how many times a day do you go to the toilet? How many kilos of poo per person is produced in a day and in a week? If we calculate 1 week, how many kilos would it represent for a whole community of 100 people? If we calculate 1 year, how many kilos of poo in a community of 100 people would be produced in 1 year? Once the population realizes that they produce a huge amount of feces in a year, the facilitator invites the participants to think about where all this feces is going. To the latrines? To the river? To the bush? The CLTS promoters need to make the people feel consciously aware of the fact that they are living in an unhealthy environment. For example, by asking them, if your poo is going to the river, it means you are drinking it, doesn't it? You are killing yourselves. Through all these questions, the CLTS promoter helps the community to understand the links between hygiene, health and money. After the mapping exercise, the facilitator invites the participants to walk around the community and to observe and indicate places where people used to defecate. He or she will take the opportunity during this walk to ask about the reasons of such practices. During the walk, people identify the sites that they indicated in the map earlier. They also observe the hygiene around the water point, the school, the market, etc. This process is designed to stimulate a collective sense of disgust and shame amongst the community members as they confront the crude facts about mass open defecation and its negative impact on the entire community. Coming back to the meeting point, the CLTS promoter may let another facilitator go on with the session. He asks the participants who would like to taste a local meal. The facilitator puts a plate beside a piece of poo and asks people to observe how the flies move between the meal and the poo. Then the facilitator asks the people to eat the same meal as they have earlier. The facilitator will take advantage of the reactions that this experience has produced on the participants and ask them about how to stop open defecation. At this point, participants commit themselves to make the first steps towards stopping open defecation, such as building or the rehabilitation of their latrines. The facilitator writes these commitments on a chart with 2 columns and indicates in a second column who wants to be responsible for each action. The most active members are invited to be part of a sanitation and hygiene committee, which will be responsible to follow up the progress of the community towards the certification as Open Defecation Free or ODF. At the end of the session, the CLTS officer will meet the members of the Sanitation and Hygiene Committee and explain to them that he or she will come by each week to verify the progress of the villagers. The CLTS team could decide to organise a competition amongst the villagers from the same region and to organise a regional triggering session where each village will present its commitments.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Anigoo ah Yaasin Jaamac Xuseen waxaan ka helay shuuliga caafimaad iyo saxaradii oo aan iska hagaajiyay dadka kalena waxaanu kula talinaynaa inuu cid tii karaysaaba ay qodato oo ay dhamaysato oo ku cawradooda ku asturto.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Waxaan ahaajinaa Axmed Ibraahin oo wacyigelin fiican ka helay hay'adii noo timi shalay toole oo aniga oo degan tuulada xidhinta markaasi waxaan ka faa'iideystay caafimaad ahaan waxaan ka faa'iideystay inaan banaysto suuliga oo marka horeba ii qodna inaan banaysto.
After the triggering session, the CLTS officers visit the villages on a regular basis to facilitate and encourage the process. They will be attentive to the positive developments, like the households starting the construction and helping others, the new models of latrines, the natural leaders, etc. They should also pay attention to negative developments like the people earlier involved in hardware subsidy programs that might undermine the self-help approach, other organisations proposing subsidising approaches, rumours, etc. After a certain period of time, the CLTS team is meeting to evaluate the progress and to decide which villages are ready for certification. To make sure the certification process is not biased and works well, several measures can be taken, such as identifying clear indicators to make sure all communities are objectively evaluated, to conduct surprise verification visits, to involve government representatives during the visits, to invite people from neighbouring communities to be part of the verification teams, to include women in the inspection teams, and to make sure of the women's sanitary arrangements, to conduct at least one check-up visit. Each village has to celebrate the announcement of the ODF status. After the ceremony, the village is invited to have a party. In the case of a regional competition, representatives from the different villages are invited to the ceremony, as well as the local authorities and journalists. A high-level local authority will announce the villages who have reached the open defecation-free status. Sustainability is one of the main challenges of the CLTS approach. After the certification, communities have to be accompanied in scaling up the sanitation ladder. Behaviour changes need to be monitored and other programs can be implemented, such as the promotion of a sanitation market to meet the needs of households improving their sanitation facilities. But this is another story. More information about CLTS is available on the website www.community-ledtotalsanitation.org.